family. Let me take my glasses off for you. Peace, family. I know I'm coming on early this morning. I had to make this video because I have been promising to talk about this. And even last night, I didn't get a chance to speak about this. So we're going to get into the topic really quick this morning. I know nobody who would be on. Some of you are on the West Coast, so you're not even up. For others, we're on the East Coast, and you're up, and then others in Europe are up. So I'll let everybody check in a little bit, and then I'll kind of start on this topic. Again, I promised to talk about this. I didn't get a chance last night's show on Aquarius Rising. It was a very tough show to do, but we did it. And I wanted to discuss this as, you know, I always leave you guys, hey Aquarius, I always leave you guys kind of like on the edge of your seats, because I'm saying something. Sometimes I'm talking and have to do it quickly because I'm trying to get it out before I forget to share. So check on in first. I should kind of clean myself up before I get on. Infinite Rising. Peace, Siva. Hey, Jarrell. You guys are up. Hey, Thomas. Infinite Rising, y'all. Okay. I'll wait until a couple more people check in. Hey, New Age. I didn't forget to. Hey, Fatima. I didn't forget to make the video based on this. It's a pretty relative topic, and again, you won't hear anybody talking about it because I do talk about some some really taboo topics. It is what it is. I don't really shy away from specific topics. Hey, Carlos. Oh, everybody's up. I love it. You guys are up. Are you going to your gigs in the morning? Could that be it? I figured I had an hour in the morning where I could talk to you, and I figured I'd talk about it. Okay. Oh, thank you, Sandrine. Even when I'm all messy. You guys give me such compliments. Thank you, Nelly. You know, I always call myself messy because, again, I'm from New York City, and if you know, in New York City, generally, I used to be more, what do you call, crisp. Here in Florida, I just wash my hair, put it up in a banana clip, the classic 80s banana clip, because I'm a geek like that, and just don't comb my hair, really. That's why I always say I'm messy. It's really not, but, I used to be a little more crisp in New York City, just meaning that I had to be a little more astute, especially if I'm going to, college events and talking at lectures. Yeah. So what's for breakfast? This is my breakfast, Jose. Starbucks double shot with mostly decaf. Oh, Barry Littleton's talking to me right now. Barry doesn't know that I'm on. Anyway, so let me get into the topic. There is we have an issue going on that's become more prevalent as time goes on, as there's more desperateness. Hold on.
Inside or outside?
Sometimes when the moms come around, I'm somewhere in public. Hold on. Okay. No, I do it every time. I'm sorry for shushing you. I do it like if you're going to talk. It's almost like I'm talking on the cell phone with you guys. So it's like a natural thing for me to tell you to be quiet so nobody can hear us. I'm sorry. I'm a geek. I do the weirdest things. If I was normal, you wouldn't. I probably wouldn't be talking about these topics. Anyway, so listen. And I have to watch out because people like to, they like to send people to watch me all the time. People like that. Anyway. Okay, so they have a problem with organ harvesting. Now, for many of our lunars, this may not be something you know about, but I'm going to let you know because this is something in the melanin dominant community. Now, let me tell you how it first began. I remember going to a lecture. It wasn't a lecture, it was like a function. It was in Tampa. I drove all the way up there because all the old hip-hop heads who were down with the Pan-Africans were having a big meeting. So Professor Griff was going to be there. I wanted to go. I called to see if he was going. He said he was going and that I should show up. I didn't have anyone to go with because, I'm a geek like that, and I don't really have people rocking in that world. I walk in so many different worlds. So anyway, I went to this meeting up in Tampa by myself. It was like a remote meeting. It was at night in Tampa. I just freshly moved up here. I think that was the time that Trayvon Martin had gotten murdered. So I go to the meeting, and they're talking, and the topic blew my mind because I had no clue what they discussed just in that meeting. And I'm not going to talk about everything because I don't like to blow spots, because again, it was a private meeting amongst the Pan-Africans. For Lunas who don't know, it's like a group of people who get together, talk about, the affairs of people in the brown community, how we can make things better, they collectively get together, which is really positive. Anyway, so I get there, they're talking about Trayvon Martin, and then I find out that when they found his body, now, they didn't talk about this on the news, you will not hear this anywhere. When they found his body had been emptied out and stuffed with newspapers. They had taken all his organs out. His family was paid maybe I shouldn't, hold on. I get a little nervous when I talk about something and I know maybe I shouldn't have said it, but it is what it is. That his body was emptied out, it was stuffed with newspapers, and all his organs were removed. Remember, this is a young brown man, and that's the first that I heard that they were trafficking and taking young brown men's organs. Now, fast forward, I went there, I bugged out. I didn't know that this was happening. And remember, I was part of the collective community. I had been from New York City. I had been to tons of lectures and meetings with different sects, and I never knew this was happening. So, hold on. Fast forward, come to find out, we found out later, myself and a few, that there were certain people getting paid, public servants, I don't want to say any more than that were getting paid to kill, to shoot, kill certain brown males of certain ages and certain blood types that were matches for particular donors, organ people who wanted organs. So they would get paid like sometimes $10,000 to $50,000 to do a hit on young brown males that had matches to other people somewhere else in remote cities. And then I found out that how were they getting this is because some of the medical facility people were in on the gig, and they were dispersing of people's personal information, putting it in another secret database, and allowing for those matches to go worldwide, so that if a donor, they're not really donors, but somebody matched somebody across in another city or another country, then it would cause a red alert, and there would be a hit on them, a paid hit to take that person out, and to take out their organs. Come to find out that many of the young brown children, now why I say brown and melanin, because this is where they're getting the organs. They are not getting organs from other beings. They are not getting it from Lunars. They are not getting it from Latinos. They are getting it solely from brown, black, copper, indigenous, whatever you want to have them. That's where they're getting the organs from. That's it. That's a fact. Fast forward a little later, come to find out, I find out that oh, I'm sorry, thank you. I come to find out, I'm sorry, when I laugh, it's not a laugh at the topic. Sometimes topics make me nervous, and I tell you that I'm a bit of a geek. I don't lie to you. If I was normal, I couldn't make videos like this. So I am a little geeky. I have weird dispositions and tics. Some of it is laughing, and some of it is flipping my hair. Those are tics. It's something I do. I don't like my hair on my back. I have to tell you these things because some people think me flipping my hair is vain. It's not. I don't like my hair on my back. My hair gets longer, and unless I cut it, I'm always flipping it to the front. So people think I'm doing it purposefully to show my hair. I'm not. I don't like it on my back. And I have tics, and I laugh all the time because I'm a geek. I do. And when I get nervous or I say something weird, I laugh. I just want to say that. Just anyway. I know I don't have to explain, but sometimes it's better for you to know why my disposition's so odd. You don't know me. Some of you do from back in the day, so you know that's just flurbo. Okay, so fast forward, we found out that there was hits going on. So now we had a systemic issue, but then we found out that this wasn't necessarily new. It had been happening in Sudan. Some of the children, the mothers, fathers were missing, and they were finding them. Some of them were found on boats with their organs missing. Generally, when they take organs, though, they can't kill you totally. You have to be alive for a certain period of time, at least a shallow breathing before they take your organs. So a lot of times, they will kill the person in a certain way that allows for them to still be sustained. And that's what they did. That the young lady who was, I forgot her name, start with a K, she was killed at the hotel. She was found in the freezer. She wasn't killed for that reason, but the people at the hotel intended to sell her organs because they knew that her organs could be sold and they can make a lot of money. And each organ has prices on it, like 50. Thank you, Kanika. Certain people's, thank you, Kanika Jenkins. Certain people's organ, each organ has a price on it. Sometimes it's 50,000, sometimes it's 20,000. Each organ is worth something. And melanin dominant people have what you consider to be the most genetically feasible types of organs, meaning that it's highly transportable because of the genetics, because they, most melanated people are the originals, meaning that every other race comes from them. They're feasible to go in other people's bodies well for transplants. Okay, so we have a problem. Now, I'm bringing in the ET set. I thought for the longest time that it was just there was just a lot of people who needed organs, but I'm thinking to myself, do you know how many people's organs are being taken in Sudan and Kenya, in Nigeria, in Namibia, in South Africa, in remote parts of East Africa, in the United States? I was saying, how many people need organs? Let's bring in the ET sex. So I come to find out, now I had intel. Hold on. I had intel that there are a group of renegade type of beings that were from the future. Now, remember I talked about the Pelagians. It wasn't the Pelagians. Remember I made a video back in the day. So I didn't retract the video because the video itself is relative. But remember I made a video about a group of beings that came. They look like Nordics. They came from the future and they hijacked the timelines. I call them the Nazis. They were the ones who gave the Nazis all the intel. That's why the Nazis are master at eugenics. That's how they got all that information to do all kinds of masterful things. Hold on. My neighbors. Well, my neighbor, everybody's at Starbucks. My neighbors came out. I can't have them. Some of them know what I'm about, but these neighbors didn't. Anyway. So, okay. So, if you need to know that video, go back to that other video when I talk about the Pelagians being the ones helping the Nazis. It wasn't the Pelagians, but it was a group of renegade Nordics that were from the future, that hijacked the timeline, that came and gave a lot of intel to the Nazis. The Nazis thought that they were ETs. They were not ETs. They were from the future. They traveled back. Now, why they were traveling back is because they were trying to flip the timelines, trying to change it to make it more permissible for them. Listen, so come to find out from the intel that I got, and it's not from just one source, and it's not just from brown people, it's from the tall whites and from others. Okay, so this is intel coming from different sects. A lot of people think that my intel, no, I talk to everybody because everybody's part of our family, and you'd be surprised what doors I'm allotted to go into just by being Fleur Broom. I'm appreciative of that. And I am trustworthy, even though I share it on YouTube. And they know I share it on YouTube for the most part. So anyway, so the organs that are being taken in massive droves, you're thinking to yourself, how many wealthy people need organs? I mean, how many organs? There's no amount of organs that, the amount of organs that they're taking, you would think that there's a plethora of people just dying places that need, or it's not true. There is a group of Nordics from the future that are changed Nordics, that are not looking like Nordics anymore because of a cataclysm that happened in one of the timelines, a couple of the timelines actually. There's going to be some sort of nuclear explosion or something that happens in our near future for one of the timelines, for a few of the timelines. I don't know which ones. Hopefully I'm on another timeline where that is something that's not permissible for me. And what happened is that they change and they end up looking like grays. They're because their genetics cannot handle the amount of radiation that occurs. A lot of these future people go underground and they lose their genetic dexterity, meaning they lose a lot of their genetic qualities, being for the fact that they're not exposed, they don't have a sun anymore, they're being exposed, they're underground, a lot of different gases are there, they're not mixing with, genetically they can't mix with a greater demographics of people, so it's very isolatory how their genetics is going to be. It's just like small communities of like Amish or the Ashkenazi Jews. they have a small group of people that they can genetically mix with, and at the end of the day, it's not enough. It's not enough of an expansion of genetics. So they start getting heredity issues. They start getting, types of genetic abnormalities based on the fact that it's not a big enough gene pool. This is just somebody I studied. Remember, I studied genetics and heredity. That's just what I know in my clinical studies and field. So these beings who deal with a cataclysm, nuclear fallout in the near future. It's in our near future, and that's where 2000 and in the next 8 years. I personally think that it's going to happen previous to the pole shift. I think they're going to do it before the pole shift. The pole shift, when I talk about the pole shift is supposed to happen in like 7.5 years, 7 years at this point. I think they're going to do something previous to it. And it ends up messing with people's genetics. Okay? So these Nordics go underground. They end up looking like grays. They lose all their hair. The radiation is seeping into the ground. They think that they're safe, and it actually makes it worse. Because they're in such a devastating state of being, in the future they end up getting technology that allows them to move and throughout the different timelines. These beings have come back as grays. They look like grays, and they are taking these organs and bringing it back to the future to try to fix their gene pool. That's what I know to be. So we're thinking that all these people are organ harvesting to take organs for themselves here in this timeline. I'm not saying that that's not happening, but I'm telling you they're taking the organs to the future. All these organs that they're taking from the women of Sudan, the people of Sudan and Africa, and here in the United States of America, they're taking those organs and they're taking it to the future. These grays are coming for beings, and they're harvesting organs, and they're taking it to the future to try to fix their gene pool. This is the future selves. This is the future of some of you. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to fix themselves. So they're coming here and covertly coming and killing. Well, they're not killing. They're having beings killed because they have, others who are doing the dirt for them, who are getting paid a crap load of money to murder young melanated beings of all different ages. Their preference of ages are, their preference of ages are from age, they gave me the ages. It has to be post-pubescence. What was the ages? I think it's 15 to 24. They will take 27, 28, but 15 to 24 are the ages that they're most likely. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my hands are cold. I have to hold this up. I didn't bring my selfie stick. 15 to 24 are the ages that they're taking, or they're taking the organs out of beings. They, like I said, they will take older, and for some reason they're not allotted to take, even though I've seen organs taken out of little babies, I think that's more for stem cell, something for stem cells. I don't think that's for the actual organs. I think they're taking the stem cells to do something with it for the babies that they end up, because I saw the boats of, it'll make you cry. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're even a racist. If you see what they do to these babies and the mothers, how they have them cut open, and you see them cut open with their organs missing, it will make you, it's the most horrific thing you can see. I can barely muster that. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. My New York, listen, we have massive amount of transplants of New Yorkers here. I have like the mafioso family here. They're real cool. They remind me of my father. They always watch over me, like the like the old mafia that ended up retiring in Florida. They're all here. doing well. Is it buffering? I'm sorry. Maybe you'll be able to. My connection looks good on this side. Okay, so listen. So family, we have an issue. It's more than an issue. It's something beyond an issue. They are taking organs from people, melanin dominant people, brown people, and utilizing it to take in the future, and it is showing up, hold on. I should put it. I'm doing it all on the side. Okay. When I do things in obscure places, it's messing up bad, the video. It's still acting up. I'm sorry. Hopefully the video comes out decent. It's acting up. Anyone see me okay? Can anyone see me okay? Can you let me know if you see me? All right? Okay. So, okay. All right, good. So I wanted to make the video because it was coming together. And like I said, this was years ago that I found out that when I went to the Pan-African meeting, and since then, I believe they've replaced. At the time, I believe they replaced. I don't want to go into that because that goes into cloning and stuff. I don't want to mess with that. But when I went to that Pan-African meeting, that's when the first time I noticed that they were taking organs from young brown people. I didn't know it was systemic until later. Now I found out that this is something worldwide, and they're doing it in mass droves. Now, mind you, there is a consequence to doing that. Even if they're doing it to try to heal themselves, they will have a problem. Because universal law allows for ricochets. What happens? What you do comes back to you. So even if they're thinking that they're doing something to help their kind or to fix their genetics, there will be a residual consequence universally for doing that. You can't go and take people's organs and kill people and think you're going to get away with it. So, when we talk about all ancestral curses and things like that, people don't realize where ancestral curses come from. Ancestral curses also come from you doing damn things to other genetic pools. So if you go around murdering people, like, when people were murdering Jews or murdering Africans or murdering indigenous, there is a genetic consequence to your bloodline. So people were saying, because I remember there was like a heated conversation at our university when people were like, I didn't do it. My aunt, I had nothing to do with what were they talking about? It was like a heated conversation about the Holocaust. We talk about, this with brown people, but it was like literally, like, I thought it was like a fist fight was going to break out at the university. And what I know to be is that, and what my take was, listen, you may have not been there, but if your ancestors had done something heinous, you have a consequence in your bloodline. Meaning that if your ancestors benefited from you doing horrible things to people, if they were lynching people, remember, I've seen pictures. Big up to the professors in New York City. I had some of the bomb professors in New York. They were showing pictures of people going to church, and on the church pamphlet it said church lynching after lunch, during lunchtime. People were lynching people at churches and selling tickets this is at a church, selling tickets of lynchings while they're sitting eating lunch with their babies, and they're watching brown people being lynched at their lunchtime at churches. This is a fact. They had little pictures and pamphlets of little brown babies being robbed from slave mothers during the night, where they would use the babies and tie the babies on a rope and throw them in the swamps to catch alligators. This is a fact. So there is a residual that happens when you come from a bloodline of people. So if you didn't do it, but grandpa benefited, he got a couple acres of land from the indigenous that he robbed or poisoned or what have you, or murdered, your bloodline pays for that. That's where you get these contractual agreements that you don't realize. It's unfortunate that your ancestors do things like that, but when an ancestor, if my father was a murderer and he murdered massive amount of people, unfortunately for that bloodline, he damns you pay for the sins of your father, because we reincarnate in those bloodlines. Again, you can only reincarnate in your bloodline. And that's why people like to splinter bloodlines with different races sometimes, because it gives you a bigger expansion of where you can reincarnate. But for the fact of the matter is that when your ancestors do harm, that's when you get all these ancestral type of issues showing up, when there's deaths and all kinds of diseases showing up. It just happens because your ancestors did some dastardly deeds. So all this to say is that nobody doesn't pay. That's what I'm saying. When people try to do harmful things, or when they say negative things about others, I tell them to be very mindful, brown or lunar. It doesn't matter, because what you do comes back to you, and may not come back to you. Unfortunately, it will come back to your bloodline. It will come back to your seeds. So grandma, who was dropping it like it's hot as a witch, sleeping with massive amount of men and doing spells on people and binding people, her seeds 2 to 3 generations later will pay for the crimes of what she did. So all this is what I'm saying. All these grays coming back and harvesting and taking organs of people of, who are these people on here? Come on now. I should not have to block, this early in the morning, I shouldn't have to block beings. Like, why are they on here? It's too early in the morning. What time is it? Can someone tell me what time it is? Yeah, so, that's what I'm saying. There's Barry Littleton. Barry, you're on here. Hey, Barry. I saw you text me on here, Barry, a moment ago. Oh, thank you, 9:29, all right. Thank you. And give me time. I can't see the time on here. But that's what I'm saying, we have to have, that's why I tell everyone, people are like, why are you into this non-judgment? Or why don't you make people pay for their crime? I don't have to do anything. People, if you do harm, if you talk dastardly about beings, if your family, that's what I'm saying, racist and speciesism and all that madness and gender issues, you don't have to do anything. They do it for themselves. Every time you do harm or speak harm or venom out of your mouth, or you judge people or make someone's life hard, or you kill someone or you harm someone's family, you pay. And you pay through your generations. And then unfortunately for you, if you decided to incarnate again, you come back as that seed, because you were the being who did the dirt. You come back as the being of this, and you get the residuals of the stuff you did previously. So all these grays who think they're helping themselves, who are coming back and helping themselves to organs of those melanin dominant people, their ancestors right now, because they're hijacking the timeline, the people that they become later, that's probably why they turn into grays, because of them, the harvest. They don't realize they're going back in time trying to save themselves, but by going back in time, they've already created their own timeline of being grays. You see what I mean? It's all relative. So it doesn't matter what they do. And we have to realize, as also people who may be of color, what in our past lives did we do during the Kemetic times and the Sumerian times to allow this type of residual to come back? It's all relative. Everything is a 360. So that's why I say nobody's oblivious to anything. People get too close. Oh, you've already paid, Starfire says she paid already for her future sins. I'm just saying. So, so everything is all relative. But I wanted to make sure that I brought this up, that you understand that there is a massive amount of harvesting of organs of brown beings, mostly brown males. For some reason, they prefer males, but they will take females that are brown. And it is the ages from 15 to 24, but they will take organs up to 28, 27 or 28, something like that. So because of that, I tell parents or young teens or young males who fit the criteria that would be mindful, and also this push in the melanin dominant community to be vegans. I think just like vampires in that movie, I don't know if anyone watched American Horror, where Lady Gaga was in the hotel. I forgot what version of American Horror that was. Remember, she was in the hotel, she was a vampire. Remember in the hotel, she was cleaning out the blood of those addicts and whatnot so that she could feed off of them. The hotel, right, Jamie? Yeah, it was a hotel. It was really freaky. I like The Coven better, but this one was very interesting. She was in a hotel. She was a vampire, and remember they cleaned off AHC. Oh, thank you, HS Hotel. Remember they had to clean out the drug addicts' blood before they fed off of them. This is my take. Now, this is not intel. This is just my take. I could be. I don't think I'm off, but I could be. I think personally that this whole kick for pushing veganism, I told you, I think it's more covert, because remember, I've been part of this community since I was in my teens. I've been part of it for a long, long time. I've never seen the environment, the propaganda for veganism as strong as it's been. Not vegetarianism, veganism. I think they're cleaning people off for harvesting. This is what I think. Personally, I think they're clean. I don't want to scare anybody. I don't want to make you seem like, hi, aw. I don't want to make it seem like, McDonald's, don't do it. I'm not saying going out. No, I'm not saying go out to McDonald's. I'm not saying that, but I think there's a reason why they're cleaning people. I don't think it's for our good. They don't do anything for their good. Why would they put fluoride in a water if it was for our good? Why would they have chemtrails going in the sky? For some reason, they purposefully are propaganding putting out propaganda for veganism. And like I said, I come from that community, and it would be more natural if they were saying go from meat eating to pescatarianism or flexitarianism or vegetarianism, and then progress if your body is able to go to veganism. For some reason, there's a big push, and there's a huge push in the brown community. You notice, like, there's a Nazi. It used to be, my Lunars know this, because I've been part of the, vegetarian vegan community for a long time. So Lunars, we have beings in our groups that are like Nazis or vegans. Like, if you eat anything that's close to an animal, they will beat you down mentally and physically. I make jokes about it, but in that community, we've known that they get at us. But for some reason now, in the brown community, and they don't do anything for your benefit. Why is there a big push? And why are celebrities coming out saying, "Oh, I'm a vegetarian, vegan"? They're cleaning you out for harvesting. I just look at the waves of what they do and see what that is. I think it's definitely for that, because not everybody should be a vegan. I don't agree with it, because it's a very stringent lifestyle. You've got to make sure you're doing your blood work, which a lot of people of color are very paranoid of, as they should be, because of the harvesting. And because of that, that's right, Maximus, that alkaline, that Morgellons, I told you, me and Barry went into that, making you more mind controllable, because the Morgellons comes down, all these nanofibers come from the chemtrails, they come into your skin. When you're very alkaline, it makes your blood susceptible to having nanotechnology, duplicate in you. Nanotubes. Those nanotubes allow you more susceptibility, and then with your cell phones in a blue field, it activates those to duplicate, and then it makes you more mind controllable. That's another reason. But I'm just telling you, family, I'm telling you all this to say, just be vigilant. I know a lot of times I tell you things, you're like, how am I going to be vigilant? I guess I just want our family, and I hope that it catches, to be mindful and to be, because they get away with this when we're complacent, when we don't know better. So now that you know, or you suspect it, if you can only change things that you know or acknowledge. So now that you know better, then you could do better. She said every blue moon I sip cold drinks and eat salted cheese. Even in the pagan and the occultist will tell you to ground yourself. I remember one time I was going through, I was raw for, oh God, I've gone raw for the longest time, right? So I went raw for, and don't get dirty, I mean raw, like raw eating. I went raw for, I don't know, it was like over a year. I'll do that because I'm a jungle chick and I'm okay with that. So I went raw, and then I started to feel really off, really off. And then all of a sudden I felt like I was losing my sense of reality. Like things around me just didn't seem real and solidified anymore. And it was one of a major occultist that I know who said to me, I need to ground myself, because my body was not here. It was almost like I was activating my light body, and I was permeating in and out, and I wasn't grounded. So it messed with my sense of reality. So what did she tell me to do? She said, you got to eat. If I'm not going to eat beef, she said, eat beef and drink beer. Listen to what she said to me. And I was like, what kind of advice is that for you to tell me to eat beef and drink beer? Then I researched what she was saying. She was absolutely correct. She was saying that in order to come back from that state of being in a very, it's almost like you become like a plant. You had to ground yourself back into reality, and eating meat would ground you back, and beer has something, the yeast in beer and the way beer is made also helps to ground you. I guess it's hip hop. I still like guys who rock hip hop in their car. Okay. I'm just reading the comments. Okay, so hip hop. He's a little too young. I'm sorry. And like I said, I'm a New York guy. I have a thing for guys who blast loud hip hop in the cars. So, turn it up. That's right, Maximus. I'm quite human in that way. Anyway, so just I guess that's all I had to share. I remember I had to ground myself. Now I didn't do the beef. But I remember even a Uvedic yogi master had told me to do the same thing. So I remember back in the days, I used to. I told you one time I got really sick from being a vegetarian vegan. I wasn't doing it properly. Remember, we didn't have choices like you guys have now in the day. We had soy milk, which I'm allergic to soy. All the products were made of soy, and tons of like rice milk. You didn't have many options. So when I was being a vegetarian and vegan back in the days, I was so deficient on anything and everything, and it wasn't healthy because a lot of the foods didn't have anything. Yeah, soy is a feminizer. It's an estrogen mimicker. And mind you, family, let me just sidebar. Everything that has soy in it. I went to Whole Foods. I went on my Nazi. I get a little crazy sometimes with the ingredients, and I tell you, even in all the organic stuff, they're putting soy lecithin in everything. Soy is an estrogen mimicker. It messes with your endocrine system. It is in everything. They put it in I've never seen anything like that in my life. Look at all your ingredients. Look at soy and everything. Keep soy away from your boys. Do you understand me, family? And your girls too. Feminine will cause all kinds of womb issues, but for mostly boys have to stay away from soy. Make sure you keep your little boys, your baby boys, away from soy. Read your ingredients. All the breads have soy. All the crackers have soy. All these little drinks have soy. And then be mindful of the plastic bottles that have BPA and other plastic, because that's another estrogen mimicker. That's another thing that they're doing. I'm just saying, just be mindful. You got to read everything. Make your own stuff. I'm Fleur Brune. I'm all about creating your own stuff. If you're going to be lazy, then you're going to have a consequence to your laziness. It's better to just make everything and call it a day. You know what I mean? Just make sure, like, you can make your own almond milks. And it's actually yummy because you can put a little vanilla in it and a little maple syrup if you want to sweeten it up a little bit. Oh, it is so yummy. Like with the milk sacks, you can actually make your own almond milk. If you want to make, you can make flax milk. It's so good. Make your own stuff, mommy. Stop going out buying. See, the problem is that we're so addicted to third parties. We don't even know how to make anything anymore. I remember the Amish woman when I was living in Pennsylvania and I had my babies. Big up to the Amish community. I loved the Amish women, how they made everything and they shared everything with each other. I remember I was making an Amish woman at a market because, I always go to the market with my baby. I used to keep a baby in a bag because I had a toddler and a baby at the time. So they used to think I had fruit in a bag, but it was my baby. So I had a sack on the side and I had a little toddler. So I would go to these markets and I would come across Amish women. And I looked really, my hair was long and out. They were so friendly to me. I looked a little wild. And they shared their bread with me. They would give me like a cinch of their bread that would be in a baggie, and it's a friendship bread. So you share it amongst each other, and you make a little bread, and you take a little bit, and you pass it on. Oh my gosh, it was so yummy. And then we would talk about the things that they did. They didn't have as many issues. Now, the only issues that the Amish had, again, was like the future Nordics. They ran out of genetic expression. So they were suffering from some genetic abnormalities from breeding too closely because they didn't have enough genetic choices. Like they didn't have enough people to mix with. So they ended up, after future generations of being on the same land, they had the same issues as some of the Ashkenazi have, with not having enough expressions in their gene pool, and then they start getting abnormalities and issues. But I will tell you, their life was so admirable, and they forgave so easily. It was so beautiful to, big up to the Amish, and they don't really mess with outside people, but they had a good sense of quality people, because they, here I'm a woman of color. Remember the Amish, a lot of the Amish were the ones during the time when slaves were going in the underground tunnels. It was the Amish people who put them in their barns and allowed brown people safe passage to Canada. If you didn't know that, along the Susquehanna River, it was actually beautiful. The Amish have a very healthy sense of thoughts and patterns. I'm not saying all, but I noticed a lot of them were very, very. If you got a chance to come close enough to them, they were very, very beautiful people with beautiful spirits. I've never met people like that ever anywhere else. I think maybe only some Germans that I met at one time, but the Amish had a very good disposition. I do appreciate them. I really did. So, I know I started bar, but make your own stuff. Like, nobody knows how to make their own stuff. Nobody knows how to make a chair. Nobody knows how to make shoes. Like, we're so dependent on third parties. That's why we have issues. We keep depending on other people. Like, if I like something, I'll try to make it. Like my own detergent. I make my own detergent because I was not. Remember, they told you that babies, you should use Dreft. Dreft has so many chemicals in it. I was like, why would they make this detergent for babies? There's like a host of carcinogens in Dreft. It used to give me rashes when I washed anything with the babies, especially when my little one was really little. I tried Dreft and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So I made my own detergent. Baking soda. It was so easy to baking soda, a little bit of borax, and essential oil. Nobody wants to do that. Like, why our laziness will cost us our health and our life. I mean, that's the thing, making your own deodorant. I make my own deodorant. I couldn't find a deodorant that worked. I made my own deodorant with baking soda, coconut oil, and a little bit of essential oil. That's it. I mean, you see how easy it is? We need to start getting back to those values because we keep complaining that others take advantage of us. But if we keep going to others to get things, you can't invest in those who don't have an investment in you personally. Companies are just companies. They're like drones. They're like robotoids. They don't have any investment on you. They don't really have a consequence to their poor quality of things. If you buy it, that's all they care about. So start making your own things. Start being more mindful of the things that you invest in. And if you want to buy things, go to companies, that mom and pop's companies, and start finding out if they have good integrity. It's worth you paying $2 more for something that you can trust in their ingredients and who made them than you spending less money, and then all of a sudden you have a cysts and lumps in your breast because you have all these crazy carcinogens and things. Can someone tell me the time? What time is it? I have until 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock I have to go. Is it 10 o'clock yet? Can anyone tell me? 9:46, okay. I'm going to start doing the floor. Great idea. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying, it's not a big deal. And I did it when I had babies. When I had babies, I told you, I lived on a farm. I grew most of my goods. Hi, how are you? I grew most of my stuff. I used to take the babies out. I had a fourth of an acre of raspberries. And I told you, that's why I'm a fan of spiders. I had Daddy Longlegs that used to stay on my raspberry patches, and they would get rid of all the other little insects. So when the raspberries would come to be yielded, I take my babies out and we go and pick raspberries, and they could put it right in their mouth, and I would let them pop it in their mouth without washing it. Same with my little tomatoes. My little ones would just go to the raspberry patch, and then we make and then with the Mocha Moms, I joined the moms group, so we had so many raspberries. What did I do for free? I told my Mocha Moms, it was actually a group called Mocha Moms. Big up to the Mocha Moms who I joined when I had babies and I was pregnant. They would come, I'd have all the moms come with their buckets, and they come and get all the raspberries that they could get. I had so many raspberries I could share with everyone. And that's what I'm talking about, community living. Like, I wasn't going to charge anyone for, people are always charging people. It's ridiculous. If I had extra raspberries, I'm going to go bad. Let your friends and family come in and yield if you have more than extra. Like, I had my babies, we planted our trees, our pear trees. I'm not in Pennsylvania anymore, so in Pennsylvania, I just went back not too long ago. I saw the pear tree was beautiful and big and yielding these big, beautiful pears. I grew everything. I had fresh collard greens. I had fresh cucumbers, pumpkins, squash, green beans, a lot of different things. You know what I mean? There was so many wonderful things that I grew, and I loved it. And I loved the fact that I could do that with my babies. I used to walk out there barefoot in my garden. I made an organic garden, and that's how I lived. And I didn't go out that much because I didn't really want to as a mother when I had babies that young. I kind of just wanted to stay around the house, and my girlfriends would come over, bring coffee, and it was nice to do that. And I think we need to get back to that. Instead of spending all your money on like bags and shoes, I'm not saying it's not right, and I like dressing a certain way, but if you notice, I wear a lot of the same things over, and I'll wear things until they wear out. But just being more practical, because the quality in life has to do with having an abundance in a healthy way. You know what I mean? I love the fact that if I was making dinner, I could go out to my garden and go get the greens for that night. Remember, I was a vegetarian vegan, so a majority of our food came from my garden. I had a husband at the time, so my husband, if he required meat, I would go to the farmer where he killed one cow once a month, and it was a cow that it wasn't different body parts of a cow. It was one cow, and I went to that market, and I knew the cow because you see the cow grazing. Now, I don't believe in murdering anything, but because my husband at the time was a flesh eater, I would go to the market. They killed one cow a month, and that cow would be killed that month, and I would get the meat from that cow and serve it to my husband, who ate that meat from that one cow. Do you see what I mean? And it was fresh because the cow was just slayed that week, and it was done under the laws of kosher. They were under kosher laws. So that's how we did it. And he even to this day, because he's the Nazi I was with, he even to this day said he never felt as wonderful as when he was with me, because I made sure, even though it wasn't my way, I did incorporate his lifestyle in mine, but I made sure he was healthy as well. So, and they had fresh eggs. If you ate eggs, there was eggs that were laid that day, and that day you got eggs. And the eggs were very inexpensive, and the eggs were brown. They weren't white, and the eggs were bright yellow, meaning that they were freshly laid. I have 10 minutes. Thank you, Abstract. Thank you. You guys are keeping my schedule for me. So I'm just saying, I just want our family to be more resourceful. And I think, as I talk about the Exodus, why it's so important for me to have an Exodus, because I want to create for my grandchildren. My girls are little, but when they get older, I want to create a world where they can have their babies safely and be able to have a community that's like-minded, so that when they decide to get married and stay, they have a home, the sanctuary, Florbridge Sanctuary, they can come safely and create my grandchildren, because I would want that. I don't just think about myself, because even when you're a mother, if you're a father and a mother, you should know that if you have little girls, you're not just raising your little girls, you're raising your grandchildren, because they have the eggs for their future babies. So the fact of the matter is, that's why with the crack age and all the drug age, whenever they ruined one, they ruined 2 and 3 generations, because those children have your grandchildren and the other generations inside of them. So every time you made, there was a problem with infiltrating the girls, you ruined 2 generations of children. So when I tell people, when I cultivate my daughters, I cultivate them not for just now, but for the 2 generations ahead. So I make sure that I want to create a world where my grandchildren can sit and be cohesive and have a safe liaison with others like us, with our families that are safe for them to come and, nest. They'll have a nice place to nest, so that they can rear their children properly and safely and with healthy values. You know what I mean? I'm not, it's not going to be, I'm not making it so it's so, aesthetically perfect, but I want to make it so it's cohesive and livable and more natural. That's all. We still have, things like technology and so on, but, we'll just be healthier about how we do it. So that's how I'm working on a Florbridge Sanctuary. Believe me, it's going to be, I've seen it in the future, and that is why a lot of beings have such resistance with me coming out with certain things, because whoever I'm going to have in the sanctuary, whoever your future children are, they're concerned, because they're going to make it very difficult for those to be sinful and hateful and horrific in the future, because your babies are going to make a difference. It's just facts. So anyway, family, I know I went all kinds of sidebar, but hold on. That's my crush. Whatever. I have crushes on beings. Yes, I do. I will behave myself. Anyhow, so that's it. Just be like I always tell you, be mindful. I just share with you so that you know better, you do better. That's it. And I know I'm gonna behave myself. I want you to have a masterful Halloween. Remember, this is a time when the veil is very thin. I plan to contact my father. My father's around all the time, but I want to see my father one-on-one in the spirit realm. So this is a time that I will honor my ancestors. Remember, Halloween was purposefully created to mask the other beings coming from the other side in and out. The veil has been thin for the longest time now, but imagine it's going to be quite wide open. So make sure that you, if you have ancestors that are parents or children that have passed away, this is a time that you want to connect to them. Make it a masterful ceremony so that you can honor your ancestors at this time. Don't go on all the other stuff outside of yourself. but make sure that you do that interconnection yourself. So it'd be nice. I plan to do that with my dad. So, and if you didn't know, and also, but I plan a party too. Barry got on me last night. I'm going to a Halloween party. I love stuff. This is my favorite month, October. So enjoy. Do you use ancestor money? Do I use ancestor money? What does that mean? Ancestor money. I don't know what that means. Anna, she's a woman of a certain age. That's right, I'm a woman of a certain age. Anyway, I gotta go. I love you. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you have a masterful day. I probably won't make a video for a while because, Halloween's on Tuesday. I'm going to enjoy myself with my mate, and and enjoy the festivities for this weekend, and enjoy speaking to my daddy. Okay? So I hope you do the same. Enjoy it. Watch the babies. Remember, this is a very big harvesting time with the babies. So make sure you watch your children around this time, because this is the time that most children are kidnapped. So for mothers of, especially melanin dominant boys and lunars who have little boys, all little boys, we need to be mindful. Watch all the babies. That's it. Just watch all the babies. Lunars, indigenous, Moors, whoever you think you are in this avatar, watch your babies. That's it. Let them, if they want to engage you, do Halloween, you do the pagan stuff, then do it, but do it mindfully. All right, watch the babies. I love you, and have a masterful day. Peace.